That music's going to be playing in my head by the time I've heard it for the 55th time. It's a good tune though, and it sets the tone for the semi-finals of the men's 15. Ave Nordas, coached by Jakob Ingebrigtsen's dad, down to 3:29, so it's clearly working. Andrew Korsaken having a brilliant season. Ruben Verheyen, European under-23 champion a couple of years ago. Laros is such an exciting youngster from the Netherlands. Habs, semi-finalist 2 years ago, really good runner. Love watching him. And I love watching Mohamed Katir, bronze medalist 12 months ago, and he's got his 5,000 time down to 12:45. Emil Danielsen, his dad was 10th in the Seoul Olympics over 5,000 metres. Tashite of South Africa, 3 times a national champion over 800 metres. And this is Abel Kipsang, the African champion. 7th last year, 4th in Tokyo. Pietro Aresi, 4th in the European Championships last year, ran really well in the heats, and so did Matti Ramsden, the former Oceanian champion, World Indoor Championship finalist last year. Neil Gurley got himself out of a little bit of bother with 300 to go in the heats, European indoor silver medalist. And Yared Nguse, North American record holder, indoors and out, won the London Diamond League. And Adel Machal is the team captain for Spain. He was 4th in London 6 years ago, and he beat Mohamed Katir in a brilliant national championship showdown. That's worth looking up on social media if you want an idea as to how well he can run tactically. So the first of 2 semi-finals then in the men's 15. It looks like it's the former 800-metre specialist Tashite who was determined to not get boxed, along with Korsaken, the Irishman, who broke the national record held by Ray Flynn for 41 years. He's down to low 3:30, 3:30.42. We've got a really good crop of Irish middle distance runners at the moment, and he's tucked in 4th place here behind Habs and Yared Nguse, as the Kenyan Abel Kipsang decides to make an honest pace of this.
Yeah, they went through about, I think, 26, 27 through the first 200, which is very quick to set off. My palms are sweaty, Rob, not just because it's warm in here. I know exactly how these athletes feel. I think the semi-final is probably the worst race, because a lot of them go into it with hopes and dreams of medals and challenging for wins, but if you can't navigate it through a semi-final, you don't even get the chance to compete for those.
Good on his pace there by Kipsang, 55 plus change, just inside 56 seconds, and that is why this field is spread out. Katir, interestingly, has moved up onto the shoulder of Habs. 4 really good athletes here trying to pull away, as the very clever runner Pietro Aresi moves past the Irishman Korsaken, and also following in his footsteps Niels Laros. He's a junior for the whole of next year, the young Dutchman. He's quite an exciting prospect.
Yeah, he is. I hope he runs the same way he did in his heat yesterday, which is with confidence years above his actual age.
Machal coming up wide on the outside, onto the young Dutchman's shoulder. People are beginning to pay close attention here, and it's not quite as fast as it was, and maybe that's why Kipsang has returned to the front. He ran a sub-56 first 400 metres, and that one's much slower, which is why they've bunched again, and he wants to make this honest over the next 300 metres to avoid a 200-metre burn-up into the finish.
I think another thing to note is that we're 14 in the semi-final rather than the 12 allocated slots, just because there were some falls yesterday, which meant some athletes have been reinstated into this semi-final. So a good job Kipsang is trying to string it out, just because it will get a little bit messy with 14 in one semi-final.
Yes, Abel Kipsang. Nguse, a lot of Americans very excited about what he might produce, especially after his win in the London Diamond League. Nguse, well, Kipsang just shown a little bit of inexperience there, because he's left a gap on the inside, and Nguse said, yeah, thanks very much, I'm in. They take the bell in the first of the semi-finals of the men's 1,500 metres. No fastest loser spots, remember. This is a 6-way burnout for the final. Nguse pushing the pace. Kipsang, Habs is in there. Katir, and also the Norwegian Nordas now trying to find a way through. 1 or 2 of these athletes are getting left behind. Machal is beginning to grimace and struggle with this pace as Laros tries to come past him. Neil Gurley trying to close the gap. Nguse and Kipsang and Katir. Habs Habs and Nordas. That's 5. Laros and Michal make 6 and 7. And 7 into 6 doesn't go. Gawley coming through on the inside. This is going to be absolute carnage. And Gousset is there. Kipsang. Wow, everybody putting their arms out. I wonder whether Neil Gawley might have snuck through on the inside for 6. He put his arm forward in a desperate lunge for the line. I think Gawley got there by the skin of his teeth.
So Tashite didn't look like he dipped, whether he wasn't aware that anyone was close enough to him to be able to challenge for those last spots. But, oh, that was a tight finish. There was always going to be a battle between about 8 of them coming in that home straight. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up with the results here, because I can't call the exact 6 that went through there.
Laros ran brilliantly. And Gousset was very sensible. I'm glad Kipsang has made it through, because he was the one trying to turn it into an honest pace. Habs was there. I think Gawley might have come through for the last of the spots. It was very, very tight. Nordas has made it, and yes, Gawley has taken the 6th spot by, guess what, 100th of a second ahead of Tashite.
Yeah, they're the margins you're dealing with when you come to these sort of rounds, and with no non-automatic qualifiers, there's no chance of Tashite going through, which to lose out by 100th a second would be gutting for him, but you've got to dip. That's his lesson from this. Right,
watch on the inside. Laros finds a gap. Gawley nearest the curve. Michal and Katir, real surprise that neither of those guys have made it. Gawley's on the inside, Tashite on the outside. Wow, that was the difference between making the final and missing out. That was brutal.
I think Neil Gawley is one of the coolest racers I see, where he always backs himself that gap will open, and as you saw, Laros moved up forward for him there, which allowed him to come through. Otherwise you're potentially running into the back of athletes slowing down, but he's safely through, which we'd expect. But Mo Katir not making the final is a big shock. I don't think many people would have called that at all.
Nordas just gives a thumbs up to the crowd, and the reason Laros was getting so excited was that low 332s is actually a national record. He did so well to find a gap on the right-hand side there, Jake.
I can't believe 18 years old and racing like that. The experience he showed that he was racing there, and the way he came through on the inside, way beyond his years. So excited to see what he can do in the final. He's got nothing to lose.
Well, you could have thrown a blanket over the leading, probably the leading 7 or 8. Arise misses out but has a PB. And Gousset and Kipsang ran really well there. So too did Laros. Such experience and maturity for a kid. Habs was 4th. Nordas and Gawley by 100th of a second scrapes into the final. A shame for Tashite, but he'll have to remember to dip next year in the lead up to Paris. PB for Danielson as well, down in 12th. And a shame for the Irishman, who's having a fantastic couple of years. He misses out this time.